By now you already know. The bugs aren't our enemies. The automatons aren't our enemies. The ones that betrayed us the most. The ones that struck the most personal blow. That was the corporates that did that to us. To data mine. To collect information on us and our families. Just so they could sell us crap later on. So I'm asking you, Helldiver, to refund your copy today. And send a message to these soulless corporations that gamers just want a game. And that's it. And remember, Helldiver, keep the violence in the game.
Sony now requiring Helldivers 2 PC players to link Steam and PSN accounts in order to access the game. Quote, "This is our main way to protect players from griefing and abuse." What? No, that's not right, because if you wanted to protect players from griefing and abuse, you'd turn off in-game chat, text, and voice, and you'd also turn off friendly fire. So that way, there was no way to, like, be uncharitable to a teammate, even if you wanted to be. I suppose you could do rude emotes to them, but, well, for people living in 170 countries that don't have PSN access, that's not going to be a problem, because Steam pulled it from the store there, fearing that people would download it and not be able to use it thanks to this new mandatory edict from Arrowhead Games and Sony saying that you need to link your accounts. Now, I'm sure you've heard all about this across the internet. Several people have talked about this, but here's the update on just how bad that's going for them. It's gotten so bad, in fact, all right, that Steam has allowed people with up to 97 hours of playtime to refund their games. That's how bad it's become for this whole situation. Steam, the people that have to always have to clean up the messes of these SJW silly heads, you know? So here you go. Speaking of a silly head, I have to be careful with my language on YouTube, particularly when we're talking about this group, as they like to hit that report button quite a lot. So instead of hitting the report button, though, feel free to hit like and subscribe, and also ding that bell as we continue to cover the crash of Helldivers. Speaking of which, here's Spitz allowing us to get a view as to why they did this. Wouldn't you know, it's in order to make sure they could ban people more effectively. So he says, if a Sony account isn't required to play a game and isn't connected to Steam, it's very hard for Sony to track player accounts. Steam doesn't allow us any way to keep track of unique player IDs through our systems. And since players on Steam can all have duplicate usernames, if we get a report for a user named John, for example, we have no idea which of the 450,000 players named John we're trying to ban. But if we have a unique Sony ID linked to their Steam account, then we can tell exactly which John it is and ban them very easily. So this is where we're at, is that not only do they want to be able to ban you more effectively whenever you've made somebody in chat or somebody in the game very upset with you, I guess. Maybe you threw too many grenades, or, I don't know, we called it evac in on their head or whatever. But the other thing is that Sony wants to track. They want to track your player account. They want to track what you're up to. They want to track what you're downloading, who you're interacting with, who's on your friends list, how long you talk to them, if you talk to them offline even. Oh, yeah. So it goes on. Now, Spitz ignited the response you're seeing out on Twitter and YouTube and all the other social media platforms out there that can receive this tidal wave of "you done effed up, son." So here's Spitz saying this in the Discord about the whole situation. It's not like this is the first or even the 14th mainstream game to require a third-party account that takes a couple of minutes to create. But if it's a deal breaker to have to take 120 seconds out of your day to enter an email and password and then forget about it, then change your Steam review and make your displeasure known on a platform where it matters. And wouldn't you know, they did. Take a look at this. Helldivers 2 on the Steam platform as of just a day ago, 21% of the 172,893 user reviews in the last 30 days are positive. Okay, so that means that well over 70% of this is not happy with the situation. Not happy at all. And in fact, it gets even worse. You see the mixed reviews down here. That sinks you even worse, right? Negative ones, pretty bad, but the mixed ones are kind of piled on top of the negatives, not on top of the positives. There's 451,953 mixed reviews, which most likely were shifted out of positive to mixed in protest, rather than out and out refunding their game and leaving a negative review about it. But we may be wondering, where are the community managers to do anything about this, to explain any further how this could benefit any of the players, not just the corporations? Well, Grums has been looking too, and well, he says this. He says, the Helldivers community team is the worst I've seen in gaming. They are also extremely political, woke, and hate gamers. Let's take a look at the lead first, Baskinator. I've written about Baskinator before, and since then, she both removed the flags in her bio, but has since replaced them, as if we wouldn't notice. She is a DEI advocate and appears to hate men, gamers, and white people. And he backs this up with a screenshot of her own words. We'll take a look here. It says, I also don't like the term casual and hardcore because they come with the implication that skill equals passion. Those words are something gamers cling to. But they are being rendered meaningless as games become more accessible, inclusive, and experimental. I'm not talking much because it's not my turn to talk. It's time for black people to be heard and for white people to listen. I want to continue to do everything I can to help, including passing the mic. I'm so tired of games focusing on parent-child narratives, period. Let alone male-centric ones. There are other relationships worth exploring in games. You know what? I like games with female stories. I like women. I like to see more women doing things in games that aren't motivated entirely by men. That's why Jessie from At Control Remedy is great and has a sibling story. I love game siblings. And then she says this about Helldivers, the game she works for. Plus, Helldivers is pretty woke, dog. Game was made by a lot of LGBTQ and brown people and black people and women, and it's a big satire on jingoism. It amuses me that they don't know that Super Earth is bad. It also explains a lot about the world at present. Yeah, that's who you're dealing with. That's who you're dealing with. My favorite part is how it's not that any of these people are talented. It's that they're LGBTQ, that they're brown, that they're black, and that they pee sitting down. That's what matters to this person, not their skill set, not their background that brought them to their skill set, not the passion that she was complaining about earlier in her tweets. It's their demographic that they check the box of so that DEI money keeps flowing. But you might be wondering, there's got to be more than one community manager involved in this, and you'd be right. There's one that has a particular problem with Saudis. Meet Misty. And she says this, she says, all the Saudi Overwatch fans are effing disgusting. Just pure homophobia, transphobia, and xenophobia coming from their tiny pea brains. Well, you might be wondering, why does Misty matter to all of this? Well, Grums explains to us, Misty claimed that the PlayStation Network change was to allow her to ban people more effectively, as if this was the primary role she relished as a community manager. This created confusion, as another CM said the change was imposed by Sony's demands. The conflicting stories and attacks on gamers make this the worst managed community team I have ever seen. Misty is also extremely woke and hard left-leaning, and as we saw, she hates the Saudis. I don't want to go have a beer with the Saudis, but, you know, I wouldn't be saying those things publicly, that's for sure. But we should note that Misty here, this is how she publicly was before she locked her account. It says she is a community and support for Arrowhead. That's the developer behind Helldivers 2. She has her pronouns, she, her, with the trans flag. Think what you like about that. And then, classically, all opinions belong to Misty, right? It's not Helldivers' opinions, it's not Arrowhead's opinions about the Saudis. But this is what Grumps had to say about this. He says, Helldiver community manager Misty has deleted her account. Every community manager for Helldivers seems to have gone protected. Community managers should not run and hide when their game is in crisis management. It is extremely unprofessional. They are ditching their jobs. The real reason they delete or go into protected mode is if you are able to dig into their tweets, you will find they are anti-gamer and worse. More news to follow. And of course, this, as we reported, Misty actually locked her account. Grums saw that she deleted it. Well, in actuality, she changed her handle, as you see right here. It's now MISSSSSTY instead of that, and then underscore Overwatch, or OW, if you will. I think this was to confuse people who were following a URL in the hopes of escaping any type of ridicule for this decision. But Grums goes on to explain who Spitz is. You remember Spitz? We brought Spitz up in the beginning, who was so fancy-dancy on this new mandate. So, here it is. Spitz ignited the PSN backlash with his mocking of people who complained about the PSN policy. This extremely unprofessional approach to legitimate game issues that block thousands of gamers in non-PSN countries made the problem much worse for Arrowhead. He's also a Reddit mod, of course, and appears to be very anti-gamer. That's right. But, you know what? Spitz got the message, decided, you know what? I don't want to be that guy. Came out and said this. Spitz says, yeah, I was completely unaware how many countries didn't have the ability to make a PlayStation Network account when I made that statement. I deeply regret implying it was so easy for everyone to just sign up and not have to worry about it. It's absolutely not our intention to force people to break Sony TOS or just not play the game if they're in a restricted region. There needs to be a solution to this problem, which has not been presented. But also, Spitz went on to say many, many more things. And here they are. I'm just going to blow it up so everybody can read it if you want to at home. And it says this. Internal discussions are going on about the mandatory linking change. And while I can't reveal details, the response from our dev teams has been pretty universally negative. And we're looking for better options. If a better solution isn't provided for players who are in regions without PSN coverage, I'm assured we won't be making the requirement mandatory for those players. We're not going to force people to either break Sony TOS or not play the game. That change, the Steam announcement, and the FAQ are all coming from Sony and not our team at Arrowhead. Here we go. Players are making their displeasure known through reviews, refunds, gives us more pull with the discussions with Sony. They don't read the discords. It hurts to see gamers, the game's popularity suffer in ratings, but the discussions are going on and our team is on the side of the players in this fight. It's unrealistic to expect people to make PSN accounts in different regions to get past the account linking requirement. We are aware of that and discussions are going on about this. Now, Grums went on to explain more about what's going on. Combined, Baskin or the lead, Spitz, and Misty from the majority and core of the community management team on Helldivers. They have all gone into hiding since the PSN backlash hit, and the opposite of what community managers should do during a PR crisis. They failed to coordinate a coherent response, even though they knew the news was coming. They alternated between mocking gamers, gloating about banning them more effectively, and contradicting themselves in their explanations of the policy. This is a very poorly run community team. The blame lies at Baskinor's feet as the lead. It is also poorly staffed, filled with political activists who actively hate gamers and promote woke politics. So much could have been avoided with a quality team in place, neutral and fair. How about that? You would want a community management team that actually, weighed the issue instead of immediately dumping it into lol himself. It's a shame a game as good as Helldivers is hampered by the bottom of the barrel DEI enforcement help for hire. Now, we do have an update here going on. So, according to the gamer, Steam is seemingly waiving the refund playtime for Helldivers 2 players. So, as we know, there's usually a 2-hour limit on how long you have to refund your game on Steam. As I showed earlier, there is a 97-hour user who got a refund. Perhaps you can go over 100 hours and get that refund as well. Let us know down in the comments if you can. We'll post an update about this, but really, I just want to cap this off with this meme provided to us from Il Edward from El Salvador, and he says this beautiful meme, and it's Helldivers 2 PC players over here on the left, Stellar Blade buyers over here on the right, and F you, Sony, right there in the middle. And I just got to say, that just typifies the whole argument right here. So remember, just like I said at the beginning of the video, consider refunding today. It sends a message to Sony. Arrowhead has already explained that they understand your displeasure with this decision and they need a bargaining chip. So these continuing diving numbers, if you will, are going to help Arrowhead negotiate out of this mandatory connection thing that Sony has forced on them. So consider for a moment, a refund could do a lot more help than harm. But until the next time I see you, and that'll be in the next video, good luck out there.